Hello, it's Ruben again. Okay, so now this is the tutorial for the second newest bow I've made. So here we go. The material I have, of course, this is a 3-foot section of 1-inch PVC. Marked it in the center, and 3 inches this side, 3 inches this side, which is going to be your handle. Flattened it with a sight taper. You may notice the heavy creases in it. That's okay. Don't worry about that. Those are coming out later. So you got 3-foot section here, flat, and you have your center. The other material that I've gotten, I got this from my local hardware store. This is square dowel, but it's hardwood. So this is what I will be using for the Sia. It will be, overall, it will be 13 inches in length, and I will cut the 13 inches and then cut a small section out, so when you insert it into the PVC, it's not a big square knob. So first thing we're going to do after you flatten is we're going to do recess on the handle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat the handle here to here. Basically this whole section of the handle is going to be heated up, and then with my trusty little jar that I have here, I'm going to take the jar and set it right on the center and then push down, and what's going to happen is going to set that handle, and it's going to when these pieces here are soft, it's going to lift it up and also put a curve in that handle. So let me show you how I do that. As always, this is a shorter section of PVC, so it shouldn't take too long to heat up. Right now in this weather, I have my choice when I decide to come outside and do PVC bows or tutorials. If I come out in the afternoon, like I am now, I get bugged by flies. And if I come out in the evening, I get bit by mosquitoes. So I'd have to choose the better of both evils, and I'd figure I'd better do it in the afternoon, where I'm only disturbed by flies and not being bitten by mosquitoes. Almost there. I've heated it up to where those creases are now gone, and there's a nice smooth profile between the handle and I'm drawing a blank this part of the bow over here. I'll probably get it later. Or somebody will correct me on the community idol or whatever comes first. Okay, so that's soft enough to work with now. Hang up my heat gun so I don't burn myself like I did when I first started doing this kind of stuff. So take it and kind of push down on it until you get that Now you want to watch out and make sure you don't do one more than the other. It would be very bad for the flex. And just let it sit there, let it cool slowly. Check it and make sure everything's centered. Normally when I heat up PVC and I got it relatively, when I got it right on the shape that I want, I put it in cool water, but I cannot move this into the cool water just until it's somewhat set. But I'm just checking and make sure I'm getting enough equal pressure on both limbs. Ah, that's it, limb. I told you it would come back to me. I wasn't thinking about it. So it's holding pretty good so far. Let's see if I can. Nope, still soft. Check your limbs again, make sure everything's nice and straight. Alright, that's starting to hold there. It gives me the opportunity to turn my cooler back on. Get some cold air flowing this way. Get some more. You can kind of pinch the handle in the center to get a nice profile of the handle. And what the real important thing is the deflex, excuse me, to make sure that these two are even when flexing. It's never really easy working on something this small and round. This moves a lot. But so far, that's looking pretty darn good. Alright, so now you can see I've got my handle is flexed right there in the center. So there's your handle, there's your limb there, and your limb there. And so still pretty warm. Let me see if I can get it with my bucket. Alright, now that I got that pretty much set, still hot, or warm to the touch, but it's still set. So now what you've got is this here, which is okay. Now, the other thing that we need is my pop, and I need to go get it, so hold on a second. I'm an idiot. It was right underneath my workbench all along. Okay! Boy, I need a beer. Alright, so This is a 13-inch diameter pot that I'll be using to flex the limbs. But it's not going to be exactly like this. This is just going to be aid to help us with the shaping of the limbs. And it's going to be not really an extreme curve, but quite a light curve. So it should come out real nice. Well, I should know it comes out real nice because I did it before already. So what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to heat the limb where it's just soft enough to bend, not puffy. So you want to bend it, get it nice and warm enough to where you can work it and bend it, but you really don't want it to be puffy. So I'm going to take my gloves, put those on because this pipe gets hot. My hands are not made out of asbestos. Alright, so take my big 13-inch pot, set it down. I should turn it this way. Yeah, that's how I remember I did it. Turned it that way. Took a clamp, braced it down so it doesn't roll on me. Probably asking yourself why I need a big 13-inch pot. Well, living out in the country, we grow our own fruits and vegetables and stuff, and my wife introduced me to canning, so now I'm canning a lot of fruits and vegetables during the summer. I had a drink. I had a drink. Okay, so here we go. Try not to get too close to the ends of out of it, and you notice that I'm only heating the flat part of the limbs and not the ends over here. I don't want it to separate. Now I have noticed on some of my pipes that if I let some puff on the limbs, it's stronger. So in the argument or case for puff, I hope this doesn't come out wrong, but puff is power. And let's see. I think that's almost, not totally soft enough. It'll bend, but it won't bend with grace like I would want it to. You can start to see that sheen that the PVC gets when it's becoming really... there we go. Okay, now we want to bend this in the opposite direction of the handle. Basically, you want to curve it forward. So if you're looking at the bow, its profile, you want to curve it forward. So you want to follow that big 13-inch pot. Let it lay there. And it's not going to stay this extreme curve, and I'll show you in a moment. This is a good time to correct any bends or anything like that that you had in your limbs when you first flattened. Okay, now it's starting to firm up. The pot has taken some of the heat out of it, so now you've got this extreme curve, and we really don't want that. So you want to get yourself a nice flat working area and kind of taper that down just a little bit. Just work that limb back and forth. Wow, that's hot. This is going to have a little bit more curve than the first one that I built, so I'm looking for a little bit more oomph to this boat. The first one that I did, it pulled at 40 pounds at 30 inches. Hopefully I can get this one up to a stronger pull number. Alright. So that looks like it's hardening. Turn my cooler back on, get some cool air flowing. Oh, that's got some buff to it. Stick it in my bucket of water. Oh wow. Yeah, that one's got some puff to it. I don't know if you can tell. See how it's puffing. And then you got your flat part of the limb. Started out flat, like this. And it's got some puff to it, so I think this one's going to be a little bit stronger. Now that limb is set. It's a little off, but I can fix that one later. So I'm going to be repeating the process and doing this side now. Okay. That one softened up enough. Get my pot back up here. Do it again. I almost did it the opposite direction. And don't worry too much about the tips or the ends because we're going to recurve it there. So if it doesn't come out absolutely perfectly straight, puffy at the end, that's okay. I mean, we're going to have 3 inches of what's going to be the SIA inserted into here. So there we go. It's cooled off a little bit. Got that heavy curve on there. Take that, work it just a little bit. Check it, make sure I got some even curvage. Yeah, looks pretty good. So now I have to do some reheating on the handle right here. I've gotten a little bit too much on one side compared to the other. You can see that. So I just reheat the handle and fix that part right there. But other than that, it's pretty good. So we got some even reflex and quite hopefully puff on both limbs here. So that's feeling pretty good. And I can tell just by trying to flex it back this way that I'm going to have some trouble here if I don't fix this end. So get this end, cool water, make sure that sets. And yeah, that's looking pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and fix this handle and check my limbs, and then we're going to start doing the CS. So what I did was I took that square wooden dowel stock that I got and I drew a nice kind of profile cut out there, so when I stick the dowel into the PVC, it's not going to have the bulky square piece here. So this is the one I cut already, and you can see the profile shape I got out of that. It's really, really nice, really neat. So I'm going to be doing the second one, and it's going to get a little noisy. My other saw broke, so I'm using my jigsaw for this job, and it works quite well. And there you have it. So, got that nice cut there. So go ahead, I'm gonna find some sandpaper and kind of fix that. If I can find my sandpaper, well, you know what? When all else fails, grab the Dremel tool with the sanding barrel on the end of it. Okay, there we go. So what I just did was I just took the sharp ends off that. Nobody's going to see this because this is going to be inside PVC. So what I'm going to do now, what I should have done before, is now mark 3 inches from the end of the limb sides. Now this is going to be kind of a dual purpose. You're going to melt the end so you can get the square dowels in, and at the same time you're going to be reflexing. So here's the first one. When I fixed the handle, I just took the opportunity to make sure my limbs were straight, everything was straight. And once again, I'm just feeding the flat portion of the PVC. I'm not feeding the ends right here. Should be a lot faster to heat up since I'm doing such a small section as compared to doing the whole 3-foot section like we did when we first started. Okay, it's starting to get that sheen look when it's ready to get soft. I can tell because the end is starting to open up. And let's give it some assistance here. Alright, now that we know we got that soft, once it opens up, we just take our dowel and go right in. sure you're right at that mark. And then while it's in and while it's cool, check your limb, check the straightness. Make sure everything's lined up. Just inserted it right into there. Now as it's cooling, you're going to want to deflex it just a little bit, not too much. Hold it there. I got my swamp filter on, so this PVC pipe is cooling relatively fast. Wash, rinse, repeat. That was stupid. I don't know where that came from. Starting to open up. Alright, once again, same technique. Take it, shove it in there, make sure you're all the way past your 3-inch mark. You can go 3.5 inches, it's not going to hurt nothing. Just take just a little bit off of the nothing. Got that in. Making sure it's straight before this handle pulls. Now attempt to do the deflex. A reflex. So I'll have to reheat this up and do it again. I'm back. So finished with the Sias. Put the Sias in, and I'm going to heat glue them in pretty soon. Waiting for the heat glue to run out. And I realized I was making an error in my part. The limbs, I had to reheat and take some of the curve out of them because, as I spoke earlier, remember when I said that the puff is power? Well, after I put the Sias in, and I attempted to reflex it, it was extremely difficult. So I took a little bit of the flex out of the limbs, but you can get, so this is what my profile is looking like right now. So you've got a 10-inch Sia here, and I cut in the knock, temporary knock. Well, that's a knock nonetheless, but I'm going to fix that up. And you've got a little bit of bend here, and you've got a, I guess you would call this a soft curve, and then into your handle. So got that all together, and then I made a weird discovery, but let's do this first. Let me go ahead and string this for you. It's not that difficult to string. So you see there it is. This is temporary bowstring. But that's the profile you're going to get after you string it up. It's got a nice pull to it. So let's put this on the tillering tree and see how many pounds I get out of this one.